Welcome, everyone. My name is Linda McDonnell, and I am your host of the Real Christian Moms Quarantine Survival Series. Today, we are being joined by our guest expert speaker, Beenie Mann. Beenie is a mind shift coach, transformational speaker, best-selling author, and the owner of mattersofperspective.com. Her passion is liberating her clients by focusing on 7 key areas of transformation, including happiness, gratitude, forgiveness, love yourself, nurture your subconscious mindset, go with the flow, and have fun. Beenie says most of us live our lives through the lens of self-limiting beliefs, which causes us to be content, but not really happy. To ignite change, Beanie challenges her clients to dig deeper by inspiring a transformational mind shift. She teaches you how to let happiness determine your success and break free of fear, shame, and societal pressure. Beenie was born and raised in Germany. There, she met a handsome young soldier in the United States Army who would become her husband and the father of her sons. Beenie's drive to encourage and empower other people has earned her the Shield of Sparta Heroine of the Infantry Award from the National Infantry Association, the Essions Award from the Army Engineer Association, and the Outstanding Civilian Service Medal from the Department of the Army. She has been changing mindsets for more than 30 years. Welcome. It's such an honor to have you here with me today, Beenie.
Thank you so much. It's an honor for me to be here. Thank you for asking me to join you.
Oh, wonderful.
Love it.
Wonderful. So, Beenie, I thought we would begin because you are a mind shift coach. I thought we would begin by talking about really the importance of having, the right mindset during quarantine right now, and really how our thoughts can really help create like the experiences that we're having. Can you speak to that?
Absolutely. That's my favorite topic. I mean, really, I always tell people what we think about, we bring about. Everything that exists started with a thought. The Wright Brothers, they decided they wanted to fly. Because of them, we're on the moon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Henry Ford, he decided he wanted to have a 8-cylinder engine block. He has no education. He doesn't know, but he has the people. And he told his engineers, do it. And they told him, we can't. He says, I don't care if you can't, figure it out. It took them, I think the story has, it took them about 2 years, but they figured it out. But it started as a thought. Everything that we have, everything that we are, we think into being. And it took me a very long time to wrap my head around this. It's like, well, this is stupid. Why would I do this? And, but it's exactly that kind of talk that brings that into our awareness. And right now with this whole quarantine thing, see, to me, I refer to it as the coronation.
Oh,
doesn't it have a much nicer ring to it?
Absolutely. I love that twist.
Right, but I mean, it's the thing. It's like, am I afraid to catch it? No. And so many people ask me, it's like, why not? I mean, it's all around us. I said, because I don't give it power. If I sit at home and I'm all worried about, oh my gosh, I'm going to catch this, I'm going to this and da, 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 da. Well, there's a very high probability that it'll happen. But by me not giving power to it and turning it around and looking at it, oh, well, I can't go anywhere, which gives me the chance to catch up on all the things that fell by the wayside because I was so busy going, networking, meeting with people, meeting with clients, working on a book and all of these things. And so, coronation, I like it.
I think that's like the ultimate reframe in the coaching world.
Thank you. But I mean, it really has to do with people are like, don't you miss, because I love people. I'm a hugger. And do I
Me
miss
too.
that? Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. But I sneak it in whenever I can. I meet with people, now that things are a little bit more relaxed and we can actually meet again. But overall, I actually enjoy the me time
Yes.
to reconnect with myself, with my higher self, with my inner self, with my spirit, with whatever higher power that we want to connect with. Now is a really good time to do that because all that noise is gone.
I agree. I agree.
So,
Yes, I think that just the landscape of our lives has changed so dramatically because most
mhm,
families, and most moms that I know have been running at top speed. And in the beginning, when everything shut down, everyone was really enjoying it because they were like, "Oh, I have my family back. I have my time to just listen and actually talk to my
mhm,
children and my husband." And even to think about things that I maybe would like to do. But then as time wore on, I think it became more trying, really. And it's almost like it's like we have to try to get back to that initial way we were thinking about it. Like, well, okay, well, this is where we are. So, what can we do at this time? Let's open ourselves up to the possibilities of what what can we really get out of this time, right? And what
right.
can we
Mhm.
learn? I think there's a lot of lessons that can be learned during this time
Oh,
if
yes.
if we're willing to spend the time working at it.
hmm Well, I think a lot of it has to do with people are going crazy after the initial phase, because it's like, oh, I can do it with my family and it's new and it's fun and it's all of that. But then when that wears off and it gets boring, most people ask the question, oh my gosh, now what do I do?
Yes.
And even further, it's like, who am I?
Hmm.
What do I want? And it's so easy for all of us to figure out what we don't want. We can list 5 million things of the things that we don't want, what we don't want to be, what we don't want to have, all of those things. But when you ask somebody, it's like, okay, what are your dreams? What are your goals? What is it that you really want? 99.9% of the time, I get a blank stare back. And I
Hmm.
get this, oh, what do you mean? I never thought about that.
Right.
Well, part of it has to do because we never took the time to do, because we're so focused on, making sure that the family is okay, the business is okay, the job is okay, and everybody is okay but us.
Right.
And that's why, another thing, that's why I love this Corona-cation, because now is the time. It's like, work on you,
Yes.
figure out what you want. And if you can't figure out what you want, write down a list. And I always tell people, it's like, take a piece of paper. I don't have one with me right now, but take a piece of paper, make a line down in the middle. On one side, you put the don't wants. On the other side, you put the wants. Start out with the don't want. Write down everything that you don't want. And then you go on the one side and you write the opposite. And you will notice after about 5, 6, 7, maybe 10, you don't even need the don't side anymore. It just flows. But what that allows you is to open up. It gives you permission, and you have permission. You don't need to ask permission. You have permission to
Mhm.
write down what you want. It's not selfish. It's called self-preservation.
Right.
You need that. So write down everything you want, and then you take this paper, you rip it in half, and you release. I burn it in a sink safe, you burn or you shred it into pieces and flush it or whatever you have to do to get rid of that don't side. And don't stay there. You don't need that. Gone. Toss
Right.
it. Focus on what you do want and then visualize that. So much fun.
Absolutely. And I think as women, especially moms, the moms at least that I speak to and that I have in my life, my circle of friends, there is a lot of mom guilt.
Mhm.
There is a lot of like holding back. And so, like, one of the topics that I wanted to talk to you about, because you are such a proponent of following your dreams, like, what would you say to the Christian moms who are like listening to this as far as, you know, I think a lot of them do think it's like selfish to have a dream of their own. And what would you say to them as far as not only having the dream, but pursuing it during this time when things are so uncertain?
Okay. I always use the example to, it's like when we started, before we started recording, my whole power, everything went out. Okay.
Yes.
Which is really, it's like if we don't power ourselves, it's like our cell phones. If we don't plug them in to charge them, they cannot run on an empty battery.
Right.
We cannot run on an empty battery. We have to refill our cup. And I actually have a video on my YouTube channel. It's called What's in Your Cup? We cannot pour from an empty cup. If you're empty and you're constantly just chasing and doing for others, you get burned out so fast. And then what I found, because it happened to me, is resentment sets in.
Mm.
And then on top of that is the guilt, because it's like, oh my gosh, they're my kids, they're my family. I was like, what an awful mom am I? Because now I'm resenting them. And and it just keeps you further down. And to come back out of that is really hard. And then what I learned is by filling my cup, doing for me and taking time for me. And sometimes it's just a bubble bath. Lock the doors, like, yo, people, my time, me time. And if it's 5 minutes,
Right.
pray, meditate, whatever it is for you to recenter, to get back to you, do that. Do that, and don't feel guilty about that, because here's the other thing. We're leading by example.
Yes.
All right. It's like if we continue to run on empty, our kids will run on empty when they're parents.
Correct.
Is that really the example that we want to set for them?
Right.
Because we're teaching them, it's like, oh, it's okay to take care of you. Well, why is it not okay for you to take care of you?
Right.
It's like, do as I say, not as I do. And I mean, the saying, monkey see, monkey do.
Yes.
And you can tell them, and all you moms, that you can tell your kid the same thing verbatim a bazillion times. The neighbor comes in, a family member comes in, says exactly the same thing, and now it's gospel.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
And that's exactly it. But I mean, it's because it's been there, because you already imprinted that into them.
Right.
They just needed to hear it from somebody else. But here's the thing, it's like our actions speak so much louder than our words. So fill your own cup. Take care of you and don't feel guilty. Take the time and say, you know what? I need time for me. And I told my kids too, it's like, you know what? I need some time for me so I can be a better mom for you. I can be a better wife. I can be a better person. And that's not selfish, that's necessary.
Absolutely. I always I work on this particular concept a lot with my clients, and they'll come to me feeling stressed and burned out and overwhelmed, and then it's affecting their health and in various ways. Sometimes it's in weight gain, sometimes it's just in headaches or emotional eating, various ways. But I always start with saying, well, what are you doing for yourself? And they're, again, like it's that blank stare, or it's like the silence on the phone. And I'm like, okay, well, before you had children, how did you take care of yourself? We might have to go back to that. And then they start, saying, oh, well, I used to like to dance, or I used to enjoy gardening or painting. And I'm like, well, why did that all stop? And of course, just the busyness of motherhood and all the demands. And I'm like, well, how can you bring even just a little part of that back into your daily routine? And most of the mothers, like you were saying, when you are just doing everything for everyone else, and I really think that's just, it's like almost like in our DNA, and we can change it, because like you said, it is a mindset. We can definitely change that, and we can shift that. But when we're constantly focusing on others, and then we're running ourselves down, like you said, like our children pick up on all of those unspoken messages that we're giving, our body language, maybe our tone of voice, our impatience, all of those things. And really, like you said, those are the lessons that we have to decide, what do we want to teach our children? Right? Do we want to teach them that it's okay to keep pushing and striving and always trying to achieve? Or is it okay to just rest And is it okay to get the B or C, in the class, as long as you put, forth your effort? Perfection is highly overrated, and
Well,
honestly,
perfection is an illusion.
nobody is perfect. It's
Right? It's an
unattainable.
illusion.
It is.
Perfection is an illusion. It doesn't exist.
It doesn't. Not at
It
all.
does not exist. No.
No, I
That
agree.
was a hard lesson. It was because I was, well, it has to be perfect. Like, when for my book, well, before I start writing it, it's like things have to be aligned and everything has to, we're launching my company, everything has to be right. No,
Right.
it's never the right time. It's never the
Yep.
perfect moment. It's never anything. Just go
Yep.
do it. You can adjust. It's like launch and adjust.
Yes.
Just go do.
Life is messy. Can we agree on that? Life is just messy.
Hmm, well, if
I
you
heard
look at it as messy, yeah, but it's life is fun.
it.
It's fun.
Right, exactly. And I think we have to learn that. I think that some people do it well, and we might start out, having fun as children. I think that's so interesting. We all start out as children and we play, right? That's how we
Hmm.
connect with people. That's how we spend our time, and we laugh a lot. Like I watch my son and he laughs and he is so full of joy. And I think to myself, I said to my husband literally just the other night at dinner, he was sitting at the table and he was like just to his own beat, right? And I'm just looking at my husband and I said, I want just a portion of that. I said, I don't want his portion because I don't want to take anything from him because he's just so
Right.
full of joy. I said, but I want my own portion of that. And my husband was like, yeah, me too. Sign me up.
Well, and
So
it really boils down to a choice. Make a
Mhm.
decision, and it's like you make the decision right this very moment, because right now, this very moment is really all we have.
Right. Correct.
The history is history. Keep the good stuff, hold on to the good stuff, let go of everything else. Don't worry about the future because you have no control over it.
Right.
You can point in the general direction, but it doesn't mean this is how it's going to happen. Just like keep an eye out. It's like, oh, this is where I want to go. And when I had my idea for my business and everything, it wasn't a straight narrow and nothing. It was just like, oh, I want to go this way, and it's like, and you just take action and you just go. But you have to make a decision. You can only make a decision in this very moment. In this moment, you decide to be angry, to be happy, to be loved, to be sad, to be any of this.
Hmm.
But you can only do one thing at a time. There's no such thing as multitasking.
Right.
That's a myth.
I think that's a very big illusion that most moms, at least the ones in my audience, I think they think that multitasking is something. But you're right. When you're multitasking, you're really not doing any of it well.
Correct. And you can only, in any given moment, you can only do one thing.
Hmm.
You can only do one thing. And I always tell my clients and my friends and everybody too, it's like make a choice. And the phrase that I started using, and somebody just told me, it's like, oh, you should make a shirt of this. It's like, I don't know about that, but maybe. I started saying life is full of choices, most of which I would not make.
Oh,
And every time I get upset, and I get upset over, when people or my family or my kids or somebody does something, it's like, ah, I still get that. But immediately I'm going to like, well, life is full of choices, most of which I would not make, and that be one of them, and I move on. The key really is don't beat it down, don't stay there. If it's good, by all means, hold on to that feeling because that raises your vibration. But if it's a negative emotion, don't stay there.
hmm,
Acknowledge it. It's like, isn't that interesting? Moving on.
right, right.
Take the lesson, moving on.
Exactly. Because we're all human. I mean, we're not saying
What?
we're not saying
A human?
I just think so many women think like, well, I can never be sad around my children, or I can never be angry, or I can never show disappointment. And
Yes,
I
you
often
can.
challenge that. And I say, well, why though? Because that's just part of the human experience. And
Hmm.
I think if you can authentically show your children that it's okay and it's safe to move through all of these emotions, then
Mm-hmm.
that gives them permission to say, okay, then there's nothing wrong with necessarily like crying if my best friend hurt my feelings,
Right.
right? And so I mean, I like you said, I love that you say feel the emotion, but then
Mm-hmm.
make a choice and decide not to. If it's good, hold on to it, and if it's
Take it
not,
with you.
learn the
Let it go.
lesson and let it go.
Mm-hmm.
So that's beautiful.
And real quick on the note of, be strong in front of your children and everything. So we're a military family. And when our boys were little, younger, I mean, they're 23 and 26 now. So when they were little, my husband was deployed. I mean, Desert Storm, not Desert Storm, that was before children. I just aged myself a lot. But it's like 2003, the deployments, and then the whole Kosovo thing and all of that with the deployments. And at first I was like, oh, I can't cry in front of my children. I can't show them my fear. And then I realized it's like, because I wasn't showing it, they felt like they didn't have permission
Yes.
to show their feelings and emotions, and they didn't know how to handle that.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point I had this aha, and please moms, take that. Okay, from my experiences, I compress time right here, wham. Sit there with your kids and cry with them. Show them that you are scared because they are scared.
Right.
Be scared together, because when you're together, oh, I have chills, it's actually less. And we made it through all those deployments because we shared our fear, we shared our anger, we shared our frustrations, we shared everything, our joy, everything. It just made it easier. I'm not saying made it easy, it made it easier
Right.
for all of us.
That's
So don't hide, because the only thing that will do for them is like they will feel like they cannot show their emotions. And my kids, I talk to them, it's like, why don't you share that? Oh, I don't want to worry you.
mm-hmm.
And then it took a while for them to understand, for me to convey the message to them, it's like, it's my job. I
Right.
worry anyway because I love you and I know something is bothering you. But if you share it with me, we can figure out a solution together. And once that clicked for them, and a big part was for me not hiding how I was feeling.
Yes.
It gave them that permission. It's like, oh, it actually is safe. It really is safe because she is sharing with us. So we can share with her.
I love
That's
that.
that's that's really important.
I agree that having those open lines of communication and just being authentic, just showing up authentically every day, I
Mm-hmm.
think really is one of the keys to living a happy life. I
Very
really
much so.
do.
Because
Beautiful.
happiness matters.
Yes, it does. So,
Shameless
Beanie.
plug.
So, yes, so can you share a couple of things? Can you share
Sure.
a little bit about your book and
Which one?
well, that's what I was getting to. Your first share about Happiness Matters, and then I would love to hear about your new book that is being released.
I'm so excited for that. So this is Happiness Matters. And I picked the butterfly, specifically this butterfly, because on the outside we're one thing, but there's so much life and everything is inside of us that we're holding back. And the metamorphosis that butterfly has to go through from the caterpillar to that beautiful butterfly. And in Happiness Matters, in that book, Unleash Your Superpower in 7 Easy Steps, I actually share about a lot about my story, how I came to where I am today. My not so good upbringing and all of these things. But those were really the steps that helped me
Mm-hmm.
through all those years. So I can recommend it. It's you can read it just if you want to get, oh, Beanie's story. Ooh, let's read that. Or you can read it as it's a workbook, because after every chapter there's space for notes and thoughts. And I ask a question for you that
I
you can
love that.
answer for you. So to help you find your happiness. So,
I
and
love
then the
that.
other book is called Becoming 50 Something, Inspiring Stories, or I should know the subtitle. Hmm. Hmm. And I was going to pull it up on my computer, but I still have no power. So anyway, the main title of the book is called Becoming 50 Something. And it's there's 8 of us who came together and we each wrote our story on how we started us and really stepped into us, our gifts, our business, our whatever it is after the age of 50.
Wonderful.
And just listening to the ladies and their stories. And it's really to inspire and empower other women that are going through this, because it's like, what do we do when the kids are old enough to go to college and, you know, maybe there's a divorce or a separation, or, I mean, there's so much things, so much things. English is my second language, so many things.
You're fine.
You know, and it's like, now who are we?
Mm-hmm.
Because especially as moms, we identify our identity through our children.
Yes.
And then, you know, that's why so many people have that empty nest syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
because they're lost. Who am I? And this book really is to help women to see that you're not alone. You are not alone. And yes, it's never too late. There's life after the age of 50. And for me, that's really when everything took off. I didn't write my book until after I was 50. I didn't build my store, my company until after the age of 50. And I'm having a time of my life.
Well, that is so good to hear, because I just turned 50 this year, and
Welcome to the 50 something club.
thank you. And I feel like that's where I am. I feel like I'm just really starting to really think about my dreams and really ask like what it is that I want, and really I'm having a very deep conversation with God about my purpose, because I don't know. I think when you hit 50, I guess it's different for everyone. But for me, when I hit 50, I really started thinking, okay, like time is of the essence here, Linda, get on with it. Whatever it is, just get on with it. Don't worry about what people are thinking or saying. And
right. It's that now what?
Right.
Now what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
So there's actually, for the 50 something group, there's a Facebook group. And if y'all send me a message, I can invite you to this group.
Wonderful. Yes. If you know what, if you give me the information, I will put it in the email, and we can put the link to that below this video. That would be an easy way for everyone to find that.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah. And I have 2 other, if I can mention it, I have 2 other groups on Facebook that I started. One is called Move Past the Fear.
Okay.
And the other one is called Move Past the Hate.
Okay.
And it's really, the Move Past the Fear was really and I actually started, it had nothing to do with COVID. It just happened that I launched it the day before it was all official.
Oh, wow.
I know, talk about timing. Right. But then I don't believe in coincidences. I believe everything for a reason. The timing is always perfect. So
absolutely.
So I started a group, and this is real, because most people are so fear driven.
Mm-hmm.
Their whole life is fear based. And I was talking with a friend one day, and it's just like, man, just move past the fear. And I'm like, ooh, I should start a Facebook group. And I have over 2,000 members right now.
Wow.
And it's just a place to forget about everything for a minute.
Right.
There's inspiring posts. There's some really cute pictures of animals and landscapes, and it's just all positive and good.
Wonderful. Well, that will be, I'm sure, very, very helpful for our audience.
Mm-hmm.
And Beenie, I know you also have a couple of resources, free resources besides the Facebook groups. Can you share a little bit about those?
Yes. So when you go to my website, mattersofperspective.com, there's a video. It's a 20-minute little webinar, and it's called Now What? And it was created because of the COVID thing, but it really works for everything. And there are 7 little steps in there to help people move through uncertain times. And at the bottom of my my website, and I totally forgot about that, so thank you for reminding me.
Sure.
You can sign up for the Quick Guide to Happiness. So
wonderful. Well, I have listened to the webinar, and ladies, it's wonderful. It's not a lengthy webinar. So when you hear sometimes the word webinar, you think, oh, I have to put aside like so much time, but it's
20
in
minutes.
right. And so, I mean, think of
And
that
it's
as
to
your
the point.
it is. Think of that as your self-care time and
Mhm.
really just listen to her 7 steps. They are just very realistic. Like it's not like out there, like, oh, you have to do something that you're not
They're
comfortable
simple.
with.
They're
Very
easy.
simple, very easy,
Mhm.
and they make it just makes so much sense. I got so much out of
Yeah.
it when I listened to it. So thank you so much for sharing
Oh,
that
you're
with
welcome. Thank you.
everyone.
The other thing too, if you have a little bit more time and you want to zone out a little bit more, I have a YouTube channel and I have
Okay.
a show on there called Happiness Matters, the show. And you can actually find the channel at happinessmatterstheshow.com. Takes you right to my YouTube channel. But I have interviewed, I think I have 60, 70 interviews on there. And it's just fun. And there's so many nuggets in there that people share from their story. Some of it is like really heart-wrenching and how they came out of it, and others are just like tips, just general tips too. But that's another free resource
Oh,
that's out there.
wonderful. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
generosity. Thank you for your time today. Like I
Thank
said,
you.
it was
My
such
pleasure.
it was my honor, to have you here. Thank you for just, like I said, sharing all of your wisdom and your insights. You really just seem to have, you really are able to simplify like complex ideas. And I think that that is really what the moms who are going to listen to this are really going to appreciate, because I think as time goes on, right, our attention span sometimes gets shorter and shorter.
Right.
So I love that you can bring like a complex thought and bring it down and simplify it and make it easily consumable. So
Thank
I
you.
thank you very much for that.
My pleasure.
Well,
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I enjoyed our time together tremendously, and I just
Likewise.
wish you and your family continued health and happiness.
Thank you. You too.
All right, take care, Beanie.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye. Ta-da. So, fun fact, my power just came back.